Hi everybody, we're Team Farm Hero here to introduce our Capstone project. The game as a whole started out with plans to have the player run and maintain a farm while also supplying and cooking food at a restaurant ran by the player to serve a wide variety of customers, to now a top-down click-to-survive farming game where the player attempts to save the world by supplying pharmacies with medical herbs. As seen in the images of progression of the game, core features needed to be established before the rest of the game could be enhanced upon and finalized.
When we first began implementing the tutorial, we created short animations that showed the player what was needed to be clicked in order to complete an action. They would pop up when the player got to certain points in the game, but really didn't work well with what we were going for due to them always popping up even when the player already knew how to play the game. So we decided to make text panels that explained what to do and have them pop up in the corner of the screen. This felt very plain and kept having the player to stop and glance over at the corner to read what to do. In the end, we decided that it would be best if we created a new scene that was strictly used for the tutorial. The tutorial scene had all the working parts of the actual game but only had one challenge, and it forced the player to do whatever we wanted the player to do. After completing the work on the tutorial, it works great. It allows the player to move as fast or as slow as the player needs in order to get through it while explaining everything that is needed to win the game. Now that we have a great tutorial that the player can choose to play or not play.
We created a shop as a means for the player to acquire new seeds for planting. There used to be a second way to collect rare seeds by harvesting them when they would randomly appear on the player's farmland, but that got cut due to some issues with the code and the game's overall theme change. After receiving some awesome feedback from the instructors, the shop went from a long and tedious scrolling session into an amazing, quick and efficient seed shopping experience. We needed a way to present challenges to the player, so we decided on using timed contracts. We created a database to store all the contracts in and based them to be randomly presented to the player according to their level. We created about 130 challenges, which became a pretty time-consuming portion because we wanted them to become harder for the player to keep up with the higher their level became. Most of the contract challenges were reused at different levels with the minor change of the amount of produce requested.
Tilling, planting, watering, and harvesting. This is the basis for the gameplay loop found within Farm Hero, and it is closely tied into the pharmaceutical companies and the world infection rating. While it is a relatively straightforward and simple loop, the player can make costly mistakes should they not fully understand each one and how they interact. As an example, should they forget that the bucket can only hold a specific amount of water before needing to be refilled, and proceed to plant seeds in all their available plots, they run the risk of losing potential produce. The loss of produce would then potentially cause the player to fail their current contract. That failed contract would then cause a spike in the world infection rating, and that particular company's productivity will decrease, causing the rate in which the infection grows to increase. However, in this same example, a player that takes the time to become familiar with the loop, its relationship with the pharmaceutical companies, and the world infection rating will be able to stabilize the rate in which the infection grows, reduce the world infection rating rapidly, and increase the productivity through completion of contracts.
Our team was fortunate enough to work so well together that our teamwork skills seemed effortless. From the first day of the Capstone project, we remained in daily contact with one another over Skype and text messages. We think that this level of constant communication was a huge factor in the project's success. As with any collaborative effort, there were occasional disagreements over our individual design efforts, but we used a system of voting to determine the outcome for the group whenever these issues arose. We believe that the most important aspect of successful teamwork is that each member of the team has a responsibility to the group and the project, and they shouldn't take any decisions personally. We would also like to stress that everyone understands that a problem with the build is the fault of the team, and not a single team member. We had a couple of build turn-ins that were broken and resulted in a low grade for the milestone. In these instances, it's important to remember that every member is responsible for the state of the build, and to work together to improve it for the next milestone.
As our current build stands, more than 2,500 hours of manual labor has been invested into the current state of Farm Hero, with the bulk of that coming from us, the designers. We'd like to finish by saying thank you to everyone for their support, dedication, and hard work along the way to help us make all this possible. We're Team Farm Hero. Have a good night.